Hello, this is Nadia from She Builds Again, and I am here for another video. And today I'm going to be talking all about how to make Christian believing friends after you relocate. And so, especially if you're on this side of the world, like me in Asia, then you might find it to be a challenge. So I'm going to share with you just two things that have really been helping me in the last few months because I've been here for 3 years. So I definitely know that you can go a long time without making Christian friends. So with that said, if you don't know me, I was 35 years old when I moved with my family to Bali, Indonesia. We are originally from a very small island, a Christian, very faith-centered island called Bermuda. And so most of my close friends, most of my family was Christian and believers and understood the power of prayer and going to church and building community. And when I moved to Bali, Indonesia, I was going to church. We would go to church occasionally, not all the time. And we went to a church where we love the worship, Hillsong. And so they have a Hillsong location in Kuta. And the thing is, we would go to these sermons, we would go to these church services, but what we're finding almost 2.5 years into our journey here is that we still didn't have any Christian friends. There was not one person who we had exchanged numbers with or talked to beyond just hi and bye. We didn't know anybody. And I think the challenge was with that particular church is that it's for mostly Indonesians who speak Bahasa Indonesia. And so the service is in Bahasa. And if you are an English speaker, then you wear the headphones. And a lot of the other English speakers that do attend there are mostly just visiting. So they're from overseas or they're married to maybe someone who's Indonesian. And so they also speak some kind of Bahasa. And so that was just my experience there, is that we were probably one of the very few people that were attending there who were English speakers, but in Bali for a longer period of time. And so very hard to make friends and build community. And also another thing that stopped us was that we weren't getting involved. And so that was definitely on us because we would just come, visit, and we weren't actually signing up for small group or any kind of ministry. And so that's just what I observed. And I think also most of the people that were involved in the small groups, I think they were also in Bahasa. So there would be a little bit of a language barrier, even if we did get involved. So I wanted to share with you two things that have made a difference recently. And I can probably add in a third if I have time on this video. So the first is to be intentional. And so one thing that really made a big difference is we started to research and seek out other churches. So Kuta is a little far from where we live, and we found out a church in Canggu, which is closer to where we live, and they have more English-speaking people, which means that not only were we able to make more friends, our son was also able to make more friends and speak to the kids. Whereas before, he was very much feeling alone and isolated, and he now gets to at least communicate with other kids his age that are Christian and believers. And so it's made a huge difference already. Number one, we found a church. But number two is we also found a Christian organization called The Filled, which is basically this organization founded by an Indonesian who is now living in Bali. And he just has this deep heart for God, heart for worship, heart for serving, heart for business with God. And so he has created this community because he realized, particularly in Bali, that there's this international community of Christians, and also a lot of them are entrepreneurs. And so he's brought them together, given them this community and this space to learn more about God, to build community, to fellowship. And so it's been so beautiful. I mentioned in a past video yesterday that I had attended the retreat for this ministry. And so yeah, it's just such an incredible thing when you're intentional, when you do the research, but when you actually seek out and you find these communities. I remember when I first joined the field, they have this WhatsApp community, and for months I was seeing the events, but I was like just on the outskirts as a bystander, just watching and waiting. I felt like a lot of them I didn't have the time perhaps, but I decided this year I was going to make the time. I was going to, it's on a Friday, it's Friday evening, which means it kind of spills over into my husband's like work time and a little bit of family time. But I really knew that I needed to be in God's presence. I need to be in the presence of other believers. And so it's been really, really cool to meet people. The other challenge is it's Bali. So a lot of people come here for a few months and then they leave. But I'm at least in an environment where there's other people from different parts of the world, from the States, from all across Europe, I'm probably one of the few from the Caribbean or from an island, but it's okay. It's just been fun to have a space where I can speak to people, meet people, hear their testimonies, hear their stories, and just build community. So that's been a blessing. And I would say the second thing that I didn't do sooner is make it known that you are seeking Christian friendships. I had it on my heart for many years. I remember even my second year out here, I was like, I just want one friend. I just want one Christian friend that I can meet up with and pray with, because I had a lot of other good friends. I had my mom friends from my son's school. I had my best friend, Christina. We have so many similarities. We're both from islands, but we're just on the same page when it comes to dreaming and goal setting and just chasing exciting entrepreneurial things. But I didn't have another person to pray with, someone who was gonna intercede with me on my behalf, someone who was going to lift me up before God and who I could also lift up. And who we could just have this space to share openly with, transparently, and what we're struggling with and what we're, trying to do better at. And so thankfully, I have been gradually meeting more friends. I actually went on this retreat and there was this amazing fellow believer who was there. There was a bunch of amazing believers. And so, we're for sure going to meet up, and I'm so excited to have met this friend. And she also said she has other people that she can introduce me to. So I realize now that had I spoken up and expressed what I was looking for, then I probably could have found other believers sooner, right? And I think obviously there are different seasons in life. Like the last 2 years I've had a baby and I've had a newborn, and now she's finally 2 and a little bit more independent. But you just have to go through the different journey of life and realize that in different stages your faith walk is going to look a little different. But now that I'm finally in this place where I have a little bit more independence, a little bit more time to myself, I'm really excited and hopeful that I can build those friendships, make the intentional time for those friendships, and start to see God work. Because my husband always says this saying. He says that if you're a Christian by yourself, the odds of being able to handle the ups and downs of life, the attacks of the enemy, just the journey of life, which is so hard sometimes, the stresses, the demands, the pressures, the loss, even the ups. Even sometimes we have good moments in life. We have mountaintop moments. We have moments where we're winning, where we're being given blessings and opening doors. But how we handle that also, we need someone that's going to keep us in check and remind us who we are and about our identity and our worth, and also our values and what we stand for. And so, it's been interesting, but I am so grateful that I'm starting to meet people, and I'm in a different season where I can actually have time to do those things. So the third thing that I wanted to talk about, because we do have a little bit of time, is if I was doing things all over again and I had relocated internationally and I was a Christian who was looking to build a faith-based community, not only would I be intentional with finding a church and other faith-based community, not only would I tell people and talk to people and try to make sure that I made it known beyond praying about it that I was looking for Christian friendships, But the third thing that I would suggest to do is to get involved. I know from my past when I was in Bermuda that once you sign up to a ministry, there is just more skin in the game. And you start to meet a lot more people who are also maybe there for the long term, that are pursuing God, that maybe have similar values, that believe in the importance of service. And so I'm really looking forward to having that opportunity as well. Now that I'm, like I said, have a little bit more time, that I can make that sacrifice so that I can meet more people and I can see maybe similar faces and make more friendships. And so, like I said, my husband's story, basically, because I kind of got cut myself off, was that if you're just a Christian by yourself doing life, it's going to be so hard to navigate that on your own. But if you have at least one other person, one friend that believes the same things that you do, that can journey this life with you, that's praying with you and for you when you cannot pray and you're in the thick of it and feeling all of the disappointment and hurt and bitterness, that if that one friend is there to pray with you, to walk alongside you, your chances of being successful and not giving up and turning back and separating from God and distancing yourself from God or walking away from the faith are so much greater. And so all we need is that one friend. And so that's what I really encourage you. If you've relocated and you're planning to relocate, these are the things that I would really be intentional with. I would be intentional with finding community for yourself and for your kids as well, right? Because if you have a family, you really want your kids to know about God as well. You want them to have those similar values and that similar way of looking at the world, so that when they get into challenges in their own life and they go through ups and downs, they know who they can turn to. They know who to pray to. They know who God is and who they are in God. And so that's super important to me. And I am hopeful that as my son grows up, he will have at least one friend in the church who sees the world as he does, who prays with him and for him. And yeah, that would just make my mama heart very, very, very happy. So I'll keep you posted on those things, but I just wanted to share those tips. If you are relocating, let me know if there's something else that has worked for you when it comes to building Christian fellowship and community when you're not in your home country, when you are in a different country. And the thing about Bali in particular is that there are so many different faiths. The main religion is Hindu. And then in Indonesia, the main religion is Muslim. And then there's all these other spiritualities and these maybe like hippie type things that happen here. And then, yeah, there's like a small group of us Christians. When I say small, it's small relatively speaking compared to the population, but it's actually quite big. Like the event that I went to on Friday night was a Bible study for Christian entrepreneurs, and it's about building business with God. And I think like 130 people signed up for that event, and there was a sitting space for maybe the first 80 or 100 or so. And so, yeah, it's incredible to see what God is doing here. Like no matter where you go in the world, God is there. And there will be other Christians, there will be other believers. And so I'm grateful that I'm in a place where there are, still a lot of believers, and there's a lot of young believers, which is really encouraging. The church that I go to, New Tribe Bali, there's a lot of people in their 20s. One of the pastors was saying, he thinks like the average age of the congregation is like 20s or 30s. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm almost 40, so I'm a bit older. But yeah, it's really, really cool that God is touching young people's lives, like millennials, Gen Z. And so I'm just excited that I finally found these things. It feels so different. It feels so much better. It feels so great, like almost like a weight is off my shoulders, because when you're doing things alone, it can feel so heavy. But when you have people to journey through this Christian walk with, it just makes things so much better. The highs feel even better, and the lows definitely feel better because you have support, you have other people to pray with, you have just accountability in all areas of your Christian walk. So I hope this video encouraged you. And like I said, please like and subscribe for this kind of content. And also let me know in the comments if you have relocated or if you've traveled extensively, what do you do to build and find Christian community? I'd love to hear if you have any other tips. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for listening. Bye.